Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unrolling a visual roadmap for scaling a business straight from the legal frameworks that actually govern them. Let's dive right into this. Whether you're currently sketching out a startup idea on a napkin or you're looking to scale a massive operation, the legal structure you choose is literally the foundation of your empire.
Imagine this. Your business goes under, and suddenly the bank is coming for your house. Terrifying, right? Well, as we explore the different forms of business organizations today, you'll see why the answer to this exact question drives almost every major founder's decision. It all comes down to one intimidating word: liability, and exactly how much of it you are willing to stomach.
So, here's our scaling up roadmap. We'll track the evolution from a one-person startup, look at teaming up through partnerships, explore family and community ventures, and finally arrive at the massive incorporated enterprise. Let's get going. Part 1. Going solo with the sole proprietorship. Let's start at the very beginning of the founder's journey with the absolute simplest entity out there. Picture this. You've got this killer idea, you just open your doors and start selling. In a sole proprietorship, you are the business, and the business is you. Say you're selling custom sneakers out of your garage. You keep every single dollar of profit. It provides maximum motivation to grind because every bit of success goes straight into your own pocket. And going solo means you make all the decisions instantly. Notice the dynamic here. There's no board of directors to consult, no partners to argue with over branding or budgets. You have a high degree of confidentiality and the absolute freedom to pivot your entire strategy whenever you want. But you knew a but was coming, right? Here is the ultimate trade-off. You get that lightning-fast freedom of quick decision-making, but you are chained to an anvil of unlimited liability. Remember our question about losing your house? In a sole proprietorship, if the business fails and the business assets aren't enough to pay the debts, creditors can legally seize your personal assets, your car, your savings, your home, the whole shebang. Which brings us to part 2, teaming up with partnerships. So, facing unlimited liability and limited personal resources, what if you need more hands on deck, more capital and complementary skills without giving up total control? That brings us to partnerships. Legally rooted in frameworks like the Indian Partnership Act of 1932, this structure lets you pool your funds, divide up that heavy workload, and actually share those crushing financial risks. Notice the shift in the day-to-day dynamic here. You transition from a solo founder to a true team. You suddenly have someone to bounce ideas off of, which naturally leads to a much more balanced decision-making process. You can divide the work based on each partner's specific expertise, creating a really strong foundation. However, partnerships come with their own unique legal quirks. While you successfully share the risk, partners still face that dreaded unlimited liability, both individually and jointly. Plus, there is this tricky concept called mutual agency. This means every partner is both an agent and a principal. Basically, if your partner goes completely rogue and signs a terrible contract for a solid gold espresso machine on behalf of the firm, guess what? You are personally on the hook for it. Your savings are still at risk. Let's take a quick detour for part 3, family and community ventures. It's vital to look at business structures built entirely around heritage. The Hindu undivided family, or HUF business, is a highly unique structure governed by Hindu law. Unlike a partnership, it doesn't require an agreement to form. In an incredible twist of legal structure, membership is granted simply by taking birth in the family. It's built entirely on ancestral property and internal loyalty. Looking at this hierarchy, the family dynamic takes center stage. The eldest member, legally known as the Karta, takes absolute charge to run the ancestral business. The other family members who share equal ownership rights over the property are known as co-parsinners. The absolutely crucial takeaway here is how power and risk are distributed. The Karta has absolute control over management and makes all the business decisions, but they also shoulder unlimited liability. On the flip side, the co-parsinners have no direct control over management, but their liability is strictly limited to their share in the ancestral property. It's a very specific balance of power. All right, let's jump back to our main founder's journey. Part 4, the big leagues with companies. So, imagine your business is booming. You are expanding rapidly, the financial risks are soaring, and you absolutely need to shield your personal assets to get some sleep at night. It's time to go corporate. Enter the joint stock company. This introduces a massive fundamental conceptual shift.
For the first time in our journey, the business becomes its own distinct legal entity, completely separate from you, the founder.
The true power of this is that separation. A company acts as an artificial person created by law. It can own property, enter contracts, and be sued in its own name. Because the business is totally separate, this structure throws up a massive shield in front of your personal assets. As a shareholder, you are only liable up to the amount of unpaid capital on your shares. Your house and your savings are finally safe.
Now for part 5, steps to form a company. Because as you'd guess, escaping unlimited liability isn't exactly a walk in the park.
Forming a joint stock company is a heavily regulated process governed by the Companies Act. It all begins with the promotion phase. This is where a person called a promoter identifies the business opportunity, conducts feasibility studies, and gets the proposed name approved. They prep all the foundational legal documents, most critically, the Memorandum of Association, which essentially acts as the company's constitution, defining its entire scope of operations.
Next up is incorporation. This is the official registration. All those painstakingly prepared documents, along with some pretty hefty fees, are filed with the Registrar of Companies. If everything is perfect, the registrar issues a certificate of incorporation. Think of this document as the official birth certificate of the company. From this date, the separate legal entity is officially born. Finally, if you want to raise funds from the public, you hit the capital subscription stage. It's a massive undertaking. You have to secure regulatory approval from SEBI, issue a public prospectus, and hit a strict minimum funding goal before you can hand out a single share to investors. It's a lot of hoops to jump through.
Which brings us to our final section, choosing the right form. So after visually tracing this entire scaling journey, from the solo hustler to the complex corporate machine, how do you actually choose the right form for your specific venture? It's a delicate balancing act. As you map it out, factors like setup cost, your demand for capital, and most crucially, your appetite for liability dictate your path. If you need low costs and total control, you stay a sole proprietor. If you need massive capital and a shield against risk, you endure the complexity of forming a company. It is literally the decision that dictates your legal and financial reality for years to come. Every structure is a trade-off between control, capital, and risk. So, as you look to the future and perhaps sketch out your very own business plans, I leave you with this. Which framework will you choose to build your empire?